My material mind really had a chance to shine this week, and boy, did it love it. And the nice thing was that it was inside the space of spirit mind. So my material mind, that analytical part of me, was inside this loving space of spirit mind. And it was a whole different experience. So I was walking the construction site where we're having a remodel done, and I just happened to notice this one really beautiful element on the ceiling that they had created was not in the right place. It was an interesting design element that was supposed to kind of wrap around this cement beam and cement column that we have that we couldn't really get around. So we decided to make it a design feature. And we put a cabinet next to it, and we had the ceiling have a little light channel go around it so it looks really beautiful, and kind of make it into a design element instead of a design problem. And they'd done a great job of doing it. I'd actually walked by and saw it earlier and thought, wow, that looks great. But for some reason, the way my brain works, my material mind, is I see patterns and I remember the full plan of everything, and the measurements and so on. And I happen to walk by and realize, oh, that's supposed to be over a cabinet that hasn't been installed yet. So that's going to be another couple of feet wide. And so it's going to be in the wrong place. That design element's going to be above the cabinet where you can't see it. And then the whole thing's going to look kind of strange. Like there's this column that goes up and then stops and pauses, and then there's this weird empty space above it. And it's just in the wrong place. And so I pointed it out to the designer, happened to be there, and said, oh, I think you made a little mistake here. She's like, no, that's exactly how it goes. And I said, oh, really? I think maybe I need to check the plans. And she was 100% convinced it was right. And we checked the plans, and I'm looking at them, and I can see on the plan that it's, the way I remember it is correct. And then once they install that cabinet, it's going to look funny. And she looks up and down and looks up and down again. And then she finally goes, kind of sighs, you're right. And she brings the contractor over who, was in charge of the build, says the same thing. She's like pointing at it. It's all in Japanese, which is, my material mind is also very happy because I was able to speak Japanese well enough to get my point across in all these. And he did the same thing. He's like, no, that's right. That's exactly how the spec'd out, and we did a good job. And at this point, it's all painted and finished, and everything's perfect visually, except that it's in the wrong place. And then he goes through the same thing, looking up, looking down, looking at the thing, and at the papers, looking up, and then finally going, And I actually had a little box there that happened to be the size of the cabinet that I could hold up on the ceiling and kind of slide out to where it was supposed to be so they could see visually in 3D. I could do that in my head really easily, but I had this little model I thought that would help. And that kind of brought it all together, like, oh, yeah, we're going to have to fix that. And it was just really fun for me because my material mind before might have been frustrated. If it's outside the loving space of spirit mind, the material mind's first thing is to look for who's to blame or to say it's not my fault, right? And in this case, I had both the designer there that designed it, the lead contractor who was building, and both of them thought it was correct. What it turns out, it was in the wrong space. Or in my material mind's perspective, I was right. Yay! Material mind loves being right. And the difference was I didn't even consider whose fault is it, or somebody did something wrong, or, I should be frustrated or angry or blaming. Like all that stuff that comes naturally when we're not in the loving space of spirit mind wasn't there. Instead, I was excited that I had noticed it in time for them to make a change before all that cabinetry was installed the next week. If the cabinets had been installed, it would be very difficult, maybe impossible to make that change. Probably would have had to just delay the project by a week or two while they, move the cabinets back out, fix that, then move the cabinets back in, and, it would have taken a lot of time and extra money and so on. So I was super happy about that. It was really different because before I've felt that frustration, like why can't everybody do everything perfectly the first time? Which, as I said, obviously is because they're human. Nobody does everything perfectly the first time. and they were doing a really good job. And then a couple days later, I was walking through, I was doing some tiling work myself outside, and I happened to walk through and had a little time to spare. So I was standing there and imagining how the bedroom was going to look with the bed in it and so on. And I realized something else. It's like, hey, there used to be an outlet on the wall there that had like our internet and 2 plugins, and it's gone. And I know we're supposed to keep that there because now there's no outlets on that wall at all. So I went and talked to the contractor. He happened to be there. The designer wasn't there this time. And same thing, like they just made a mistake. So he's like, oh, okay, good. We'll get that fixed. And then while I was walking around, I had also asked him, I said, what is this in the other room? This hole near the floor here? I don't remember there being a plug here. And he said, oh, that's a little footlight. So at night, there's these little footlights that come on. I was like, oh, okay, that sounds nice. And then so I walked around and said, so every room has a footlight? He's like, yeah, every room has a footlight. So I said, so this one in the entrance, that's a footlight? He goes, no, that's just a plug. And I was like, oh, that's a footlight. I remember because the original house had a footlight right there. It's the only one we had. And we kind of talked about it back and forth, why he was right. And I was like, well, no, I think maybe we need to call up the designer. So I called her up and we had a little chat. And it turns out that not only had they had the outlet in the wrong, the outlet that was there had somehow been taken out, but there was a footlight had been accidentally changed into an outlet, needed to change. And there was one more missing footlight in a different room. And there was one more missing outlet. I decided maybe I should walk around and actually look at everything. Prior to that, I'd just been sort of noticing what comes up. And again, the same thing. The reason I'm telling this story is not to celebrate that I found some mistakes. These are really minor things. But that being in the space of spirit mind, my material mind can really thrive. It can do the pattern matching thing that's normal for me, find things, but there's no frustration, there's no blame, there's no judgment that something was wrong. There's just like an honest gratefulness that, oh, wow, I noticed something in time and was able to communicate it with everybody. Everybody happened to be there that needed to be there or be available on the phone. It all worked out perfectly, the timing, such that these things, there's actually an electrician coming later that night to fix the one outlet when we noticed the other things. And so he was able to do all the rest of the stuff all at the same time. Didn't delay the project at all, didn't increase costs any, and this was just beautiful. And I was just celebrating that shared intelligence that we all have, that world is so well organized when we let it be, when there's no frustration slowing us down or time spent or energy spent trying to figure out who to blame and to be angry and frustrated. Instead, things can move smoothly. Of course, there's going to be mistakes on any big project that anybody does and oversights and things, but it's okay, totally okay. I just wanted to share that because I was really happy to genuinely experience the benefits of the material mind being inside the space of spirit mind. Really, really fun.